sanctified your credit. Sacrifice your own boys for a lie. Listen. Yeah. Yeah. Make America great again. Yo, Tails, this shit crazy. Yeah. Make America great again now. You will see what happens, yeah. Watch this. Sacred defense, we protecting the soil. While you sacrifice soldiers to pay for your spoil. You first were in the blow, sitting on your throne. Now we turning every base into a bed of stone. It's a slaughterhouse, a trap you couldn't see. Welcome to the graveyard of your vanity. The secrets are leaking. The pressure is rising. We locked on the target. And now you are hiding. NOSCR. Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ash of defeat. LOSCR. Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ash of defeat. Fighting in your suit, hiding Epstein's ghost. You sent your boys to die on the bloody coast. Not a revenge for the leader's blood is purely mine. Every drop of his blood is a missile on the line. You thought you took him out, thought the fire was dead, but another common day is standing ahead. Yeah, you strike one down, we just shatter your brain. We put another in the leg, common day again. The secrets are leaking, the pressure is rising. We locked on the target. And now you are hiding. Yeah, we spelling out your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ash. LOSCR. Yeah, we spelling out your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ash of defeat. Sacred defense of the homeland. Sacred defense of the homeland. Sacred defense of the homeland. The slaughterhouse is open. Common name cash. LOSCR.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Now, with that all being said, let's see who's in here. All right. Starseed Oracle is here. Nessa G. That Crazy Beach Aries. Lillian X. All right. Deronda, We the People. Yvette. Okay. Juju. Millicent. Okay. So let's get ready to get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Also, double check to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel, especially if you have not been receiving your notifications. All right. Hello, G from the land. All right. Claudette is in here. Trisha. Okay. Dark Tube. I see you, beloved. All right, Pretty Wings. Shout out to All About Loyal Royce and everyone tuned into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. I see you, Emperor Rex. Okay, the infamous Marty Mar is here. All right, welcome to the chat. Okay, so that all being said, did I say Lillian X? Hey, beloved. Okay, so that all being said, let's have a brief word from our sponsors or from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Kratz. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she also sells beard oil. Okay, so listen, I just want to tell you all a little bit of history before we get into these receipts. Okay. With that being said, here's the thing I want you to pay attention to about Iran. Now, I've been playing these Lego videos that they have been putting out, which are absolutely amazing. Okay. The concept, the way they put it together, the subliminals that they show us, the blatant things they show us, the music, everything, right? But here's what I want you all to know. The reason they're such geniuses, okay, and here's another thing too. They're geniuses because the US and Netanyahu destroyed like 30 of their universities. Okay. To me, that's a sign that they want to stifle their knowledge. They're very good with technology, AI. They're very intellectual people. Okay. A very high education rate. So, that all being said, let me just cut through the chase. Here's the thing. Now, it was very genius to me for them to use the Legos to do their videos. And I was thinking about that because, the creator of Lego, the founder of the Lego group, is a man by the name of Ollie Kirk Christensen. Okay, Ollie Kirk Christensen. Now, Ollie Kirk Christensen is from where? Well, I'm so glad you asked. You see, he's from Denmark. Okay, he's from Denmark. And the reason that's all significant is because Denmark are one of the founders of the UN and also of the Geneva Convention. All right, with that all being said, why would that be important? Well, to me, it seems like possibly Iran, by using the Legos and the fact that, they were created by Ollie Kirk Christensen, who is from Denmark, who helped to found the UN and the Geneva Convention, which the Geneva Convention is against human rights violations and against war crimes. And also, let me just say that Denmark, they really oppose war crimes. And in fact, January of 2020, or I'm sorry, January of 2025, they actually updated their penal code, okay, for war crimes. So I want you to pay attention. So it seems to me like maybe they're trying to ask Denmark to show some empathy because no one is saying anything about these war crimes. Nobody is really going in on BiBi and Trump for committing war crimes in this whole illegal war. No one's really doing anything. And also, another reason that they're using the Legos, in my opinion, is because, when Iran had their railroad built, right? They actually used the Danish firm known as Campsack. I think it's called Campsacks with an X on the end, Campsacks. Now, the reason they used Campsacks is because they wanted to use their own labor and their own material, but they basically wanted a company to oversee the details and, to fine tune things to make sure everything was going right. But they didn't want to deal with major political powers, such as Germany or Britain. So that's why they chose Capsac. Now, with that all being said, this gave Iran and Denmark a very close relationship. And at the same time, they also wanted to use a smaller, use Capsac rather than political powered countries because they wanted to maintain their independence. Okay. So I just find it all very interesting because they're very methodical and very intentional about what they do. This just goes to show how high their level of critical thinking skills is. Okay? They really are showing us how intellectual they are. And, this is very deep, okay, in my opinion. So, anyway, with that all being said, here's the thing. They once had this great relationship with Denmark until guess what? Okay, I'm sure you already know. Until the US and Is Not Real ruined the relationship by painting Iran as a terrorist state. Okay, by constantly perpetuating these lies that they're a threat to the world, that they're the aggressors, that they have nuclear capabilities, and that we need to fear them and not trust them, and that they are liars and all of that. You see how they can change a narrative to sow seeds of discord? Okay, that's why it's very important that we pay attention, okay, and that we don't get, that we don't get sidetracked by a lot of this BS that's coming out. Okay, so anyway, enough about that. I just thought you all should know that. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the ceasefire because this whole deal has gone straight to hell. Okay, and this is all thanks to BiBi. Now, I do believe that I told you all this morning, maybe I didn't, but I definitely was thinking, and I'm pretty sure I did say it, that they're not going to be able to rein in Netanyahu, that I bet Netanyahu's still going to be striking, still going to be keeping up chaos because that's who and what he is. He is a devil. Okay, he is a devil. He's still striking Iran. He hit one of their bridges. Okay, and then he's still been having these attacks on Lebanon. Now, J.D. Vance is such a liar and a gaslighter and a deflector. All of Trump's administration is, if I'm just being honest. But J.D. Vance has now come out trying to gaslight us all by acting as if there was never an agreement in the ceasefire deal for Lebanon to be included in the ceasefire. So basically, he's doing the same damn thing that they did, okay, in 1967, when they know damn well it was the IDF who literally killed our sailors on the USS Liberty, and they covered it all up and defended them. That's the same thing J.D. Vance is doing. He's trying to defend them rather than calling them out for their BS. He is trying to defend them and lie and gaslight and say, well, I'm sorry if Lebanon thought they were included in the ceasefire agreement. It was only for the U.S. and Izzy. Okay? So you mean to tell me that both of y'all groups, y'all get what y'all want, but Iran doesn't? Like, sit down somewhere. Okay, why wouldn't Iran want their allies included? Okay? So this is just all BS, like I knew it was going to be. I knew it was going to be a load of BS. I knew it. Okay, because I know that Netanyahu is not to be trusted. Trump isn't either, but Netanyahu is a bigger devil than Trump. And the reason he's a worse devil than Trump is because he's more intelligent than Trump. Trump's a whole idiot. Speaking of Netanyahu, I have some receipts on him that I'm not going to get into tonight because I don't want to be on her all night. I'm trying to get out of here in an hour, okay, because I need to get my rest. Plus, I have a couple of other things to do. But with that all being said, I have some scoop on him, okay? And this is like audio. Oh, you know what? I literally almost forgot. I have a scoop on him right now here tonight. I have a scoop on him tonight that somebody just sent me. But no, this is what I'm talking about that I'm going to probably do sometime later on this week, maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure. But this is even more juicy. Okay. But tonight I'll give you a little tea on him. So with that all being said, let's talk about these posts. Hold on. We're going to get into it about this whole ceasefire. Okay, so here's the clash report. So it says U.S. may close at least one military base, possibly in Spain or Germany. Trump administration considering pulling troops from NATO allies that refuse to support the Iran campaign and redeploying them to countries that back the U.S. efforts. What if the countries that back U.S. efforts don't want them there? Does he just assume? Okay, now the foreign minister of Iran, Mr. Abbas Araghchi, hold on one second, beloveds. Give me just a second. Okay, sorry about the interruption, beloveds. Now, with that all being said, Abbas Araghchi says that the Iran-U.S. ceasefire terms are clear and explicit. The U.S. must choose ceasefire or a continued war via Israel. Okay, they can't have both. The world sees the massacres in Lebanon. The ball is in the U.S. court, and the world is watching whether it will act on its commitments. Okay? Well, I'm going to tell you like this. We already know that Netanyahu doesn't have any moral fortitude. Like, oh my God, I can't even tell you what I wish about this man. Okay? I can't even tell you. So with that all being said, another clash report says senior Iranian official Mohsen Reza says we stand with all our might alongside the Hezbollah Mujahideen, and we will punish the Zionist enemy. The responsibility of the collapse of the ceasefire lies with America, which either does not want to or cannot leash its rabid dog. Violations of the ceasefire by America will also not be tolerated. They shouldn't. And they're referring to Netanyahu when they said a rabid dog. And that's exactly what he is. Okay, that's exactly what he is. Now, here's another one. Faytuck's News reports saying that they say Deputy Security of Khuzestan Province at 9 p.m. tonight, Wednesday, April the 8th, an enemy drone. They're basically saying one of BiBi's people. I'm not going to use the word they used, but they said the enemy's drone was hit by the air defense of the valiant armed forces of the Islamic Republic in the area of Golam Village, okay, Mian Ab District, Shushtar County, and was shot down. Following the crash of this drone, 6 people were injured, and a 7-year-old girl from one family was martyred. That means she died, of course, sadly. Okay, prayers and condolences to the family. Now, with that being said, Iranian air defense shot down an Israeli drone over Khuzestan province this evening. Okay, so now let's go to the next report. Now, this one I thought was interesting because they say an oil tanker attempting to run through the Strait of Hormuz was turned around. Okay, now remember, they were supposed to be opening up the Strait of Hormuz. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe it's because of the fact that the ceasefire is not being respected, that they're not, doing what they said they were going to do, thanks to BiBi. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, let's go to Lion Earth gaslighting and deflecting JD Vance. Likes up, everyone, please. A like and share. Thank you in advance. Here we go.
This comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran, and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. Now, that said, the Israelis, as I understand it, again, I'm supposed to get a fuller report when I get on the plane, have actually offered to be, frankly, to check themselves a little bit in Lebanon because they want to make sure that our negotiation is successful. That's not because that is part of the ceasefire. I think that's the Israelis trying to set us up for success, and we'll, of course, see how that unfolds in the next few days. But look, if Iran wants to let this negotiation fall apart in a conflict where they were getting hammered over Lebanon, which has nothing to do with them and which the United States never once said was part of the ceasefire, that's ultimately their choice. We think that would be dumb, but that's their choice.
Mr. Vice President, Iran is continuing to block the Straits of Hormuz. Do you have an expectation of when that strait is going to be open?
Well, we've already seen an increase in traffic today. Hopefully we'll see an increase in traffic tomorrow. We actually think that we are seeing signs that the Straits is starting to reopen. I think you guys have probably seen oil prices have come down. So I think the oil markets, the gas markets are seeing the same thing. But the president's very, very clear. The deal is a ceasefire, a negotiation. That's what we give. And what they give is the Straits are going to be reopened. If we don't see that happening, the president is not going to abide by our terms if the Iranians are not abiding by their terms. I think that.
So you're already not abiding by your own terms, you idiots. Because it absolutely did say in their 10-point plan that they would have to have a ceasefire with Lebanon too. And how do we know that? Because I already showed you all their plan days ago. Okay, so he needs to, their points, so he needs to sit down somewhere. This is just so annoying. But see, I knew this was going to happen. I knew they wouldn't be able to rein in that devil, Netanyahu, that he's going to continue to do what he wants because that's who he is, like I told you. Okay, so let's go to this next clip. This just really, really infuriates me. Okay, it is so annoying. Trump has gotten in bed with the devil. Okay, that's what he has done.
Vietnam. This could be Trump's Katrina, I think. This is the moment when his authority looks to be permanently destabilized. Why? Not just because he's shown that his judgment is so wrong. This is a guy who is constantly being shown to have backed himself into a corner. He doesn't know how to get out of it. His authority deeply damaged and enfeebled. Its Gulf allies have been alienated. They're likely to look elsewhere for their own security needs in the future. They can no longer rely on America. America has not proven able to guarantee their security. Israel has opened up a new war, as I said, in Lebanon. That is going to prove to more instability or lead to more instability in the Middle East. Thousands and thousands of people being displaced, their homes being destroyed. The European-US relationship has been fractured, possibly beyond repair for the rest of the Trump presidency. That leads to permanent questions now, structural questions about NATO. President Putin is stronger than he's ever been before, or at least he has been for the last couple of years, because he's got lots of new oil money flowing into the coffers. Donald Trump has shown himself in this. He is less an emperor of Rome, and he is more a wizard of Oz. A wizard who has been shown the world and shown himself the limits of America.
Actually, Donald Trump, in my opinion, is the emperor. Okay, that story of the emperor's new clothes. Remember? And how everybody just appeased the emperor and pretended that they saw the outfit, the clothing, the fashion that he had on, but he really didn't have on anything. He was a whole fool and an idiot, but no one wanted to tell him because they didn't want to tick him off out of fear. That's who Trump is. He's the emperor's new clothes, okay? Please. Now, Hip Hop College Culture Judge says, we know it's not real with backdoor the deal. Shaking my effing head. Exactly, beloved. Okay, we knew that. We knew that. This is all nefarious. And thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, let's continue. This is all so ridiculous. Okay? It's all so ridiculous. Let's go to this next report.
President J.D. Vance is calling this 2-week ceasefire with Iran a fragile truce.
If the Iranians are willing, in good faith, to work with us, I think we can make an agreement. If they're going to lie, if they're going to cheat, if they're going to try to prevent even the fragile truce that we've set up from taking place, then they're not going to be happy.
The U.S. and Iran agreed to the 2-week ceasefire about 90 minutes before U.S. President Donald Trump's deadline, in which he threatened a whole civilization will die tonight. Those are his words. President Trump said he agreed to the ceasefire on the condition that Iran agree to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Iran then put forward a 10-point proposal saying if attacks are halted, safe passage through the strait will be possible. Both sides are now expected to meet in Pakistan on Friday to further negotiate a deal.
This is absolutely not going to work. Okay, this is not going to work because BiBi is just unhinged. Okay, he's unhinged, and that's just what it is. And Trump's a whole idiot. You know, I have to wonder, beloveds, because, listen, I was talking to my friend Straight No Chaser with the Queen, Tina Berry, who's been on here, okay, more than a couple of times. So I was talking to her, and we were talking about how this whole thing that's going on with this war with Iran and all of this, this is happening because of the Epstein files, right? We know that. We know it's happening because of the Epstein files, because Trump is trying to distract us from it. But there's another reason it's happening because of the Epstein files too. Okay? There's another reason. Ashkan says, you don't think Israel won't bomb Pakistan? Absolutely, they will. Absolutely. This man Netanyahu is a whole devil. I put nothing past him. But here's the thing. So let me just play this video and then I'll get back into what I was saying.
You fucking morons who keep trying to use this comment of, oh yeah, believe Iran, the tyrant country who does this. What the fuck do you think what do you think happens here? What do you think happens here in a country that is trying to remove funding for people to have fucking healthcare? What do you think happens here when they're trying to defund programs for education in this country? That is an attack on its own citizens. What happens here when you have these catastrophic events and they don't want to send resources out to those areas where it happened? That is an attack on the people of this fucking country. Y'all are looking at this as if this country cares about the fucking citizens here. Isn't Flint still without water? Huh? Isn't this country in the middle of the Epstein files, the biggest ring of pedophilia and sexual assault against children and women? Like, what are you talking about? What are y'all talking about? Y'all are acting like this is fucking the saints come marching in this country. The homicide rate, I think we have the highest homicide rate out of any developed country in the world.
The most mass shootings and school shootings as well, but let him cook.
This country is so rich, but the poverty is so high. Actively trying to get rid of the middle class and push people down. What the fuck are y'all talking about? Shut the fuck up. Talking about what somebody else doing in their country. We're doing the same thing fucking here. It's just buttoned up.
Okay, tell them.
A little bow on top. Y'all want to eliminate all of that to talk about what somebody else is. No. Focus, bitch. Focus. I know that's hard because the education system here is set on fire with gasoline fucking igniting and blazing all of y'all brain cells.
No lies detected at all. Okay, everything he said was true. All right, so as I was saying, so me and Straight No Chaser with the Queen, we were talking about the Epstein file thing and how that plays into all of this that's going on now. Not just the fact that Trump wants to distract us from it, but the fact that the main reason this war is going on is not because he's trying to distract us from the Epstein files, but simply because he's likely, in my opinion, let me just give a disclaimer, okay, allegedly, but I really don't think it's allegedly, but I'll say it's allegedly just for the sake of saying it, that he's being blackmailed by Netanyahu with the Epstein files. So my question is, had Kamala Harris won the presidency, would we know all the things we now know about the Epstein files and about these nefarious, low-life, no-good, dirty, scoundrel politicians? Would we know this? I don't know that we would. I don't know that we would. You see, I'm not saying we wouldn't still be in a war, because I think we would still absolutely be in a war, and here's why. See, Netanyahu was never able to blackmail President Obama. Clearly, because he tried to get Obama to go to Iran and Obama wouldn't do it. He tried to get him to go to war with Iran. He would not. He tried to get Joe Biden to go to war with Iran and Joe Biden would not. He obviously didn't have any dirt on them. It's obvious he has dirt on Trump. It's obvious. Trump has made a whole turnaround. Think about the video I showed you this morning where Trump was talking about he couldn't be bought. They couldn't control him. Nobody tells him what to do. And talking about how somebody took $125 million and that you can't trust them because they're going to be bought and paid for, basically. But then I showed you the next clip where Donald Trump was given twice that amount, $250 million. Okay? By one of BiBi's people. And that's why he's doing everything he's doing. But also, I believe he's absolutely being blackmailed. This is all about the Epstein files. And that is really why this is, in fact, the Epstein war. Okay? Now, with that all being said, let's go to this next clip. Lights up, everyone, please like and share. This woman's talking about the founding of IDF. That's right. Ashkan said nobody but Adelson. Exactly. Miriam Adelson.
Israel is the only state with a 3,000-year-old history that was founded in 1948. It was gifted to Lord Rothschild in 1917. Yes, I said Rothschild. That's right, folks. The 1%. If you dig deep enough, it's actually the hub from where all the darkness stems. You want to dig a little deeper to have an understanding of this, read the Balfour Declaration. That'll give you some clarity. So what is real in a world full of lies, a world full of deception, manipulation by man? It says in the book of John that God's chosen people are not of a bloodline. Who are God's chosen people? God's chosen people are the ones who found the I am within, the ones who stand in authenticity, the ones who have become real, the ones who remember who they are. This is simply my opinion. It doesn't have to be yours. We live in the upside down, and the truth is hard to hear, but it does set you free. Israel is the only state with a
Okay, now I want you all to pay attention to this next clip. Now, here's the thing. So I looked this up because you know the fake fact checkers, we know they lie. Okay, so I looked this up on Snopes just to see what they said, just for entertainment purposes for myself, just to get a chuckle, because I knew they would say, oh, this is not confirmed. They said there's no proof that BiBi said this. They don't have proof of the recording. Well, you know, they may not have proof of that recording, but this was reported in the Jerusalem. I'm so sorry. Whose publication is that? Whose publication is that? Okay, let's continue. I'm going to share my screen. I absolutely believe that Netanyahu said it. It sounds just like him. Okay, this sounds absolutely like something he definitely said. And in fact, I'm sure he did say it. And I want you all to pay attention. Let me just say this before I play it. I have been telling you all, and I'm going to keep saying this and stressing this because I really need you all to pay attention. I told you all over a year ago that Trump was purposely, intentionally, okay, with malice aforethought, if you will, destroying, dismantling the United States from the inside out. And why would he be doing that? Remember that day I got mad and cursed out a couple of people in the chat? Because I said, y'all just don't get it. You seem to not care. You don't think it's as serious as it is. You don't even know what's coming. Remember I told y'all that? I told you concentration camps. I told you it's going to be taken back to 1945 if we're not careful and if we don't start speaking up and doing and saying something about it. But now here we are. And now I want you all to pay attention because the way Snopes tried to debunk this is by saying that this was reportedly recorded and said by Netanyahu in 1990. But they say he didn't become the prime minister of It's Not Real until 1996. Well, see, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he didn't become the prime minister until 6 years later. He was still very much so influencing their politics. Okay, so yes, I do believe he said it. Let's get into it. Malice, he says, Queen, I sent you an email a few days ago about BiBi, what BiBi really thinks about the U.S. Thank you, beloved. I didn't get a chance to see it, but I'll look for it, and I appreciate your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. What he really thinks about the U.S. is he hates us. Okay, we should know that. Everybody should know that by now. We should all know that they want to be the superpower. In my opinion, they want world dominion. Okay? In my opinion, they absolutely want to knock America out of the box. And they're using Trump to do it. But hold on, because what you're about to see, this right here proves it, as far as I'm concerned.
This is word for word, verbatim, from the Jerusalem Post by Benjamin Netanyahu in 1990. If we get caught, they will just replace us with a person from the same cloth. So it doesn't matter what you do. America is a golden calf, and we will suck it dry, chop it up, and sell it off piece by piece until there is nothing left but the world's biggest welfare state that we create and control. Why? Because it's God's will. And America is big enough to take the hit, so we can do it again and again and again. This is what we do to the countries that we hate. We destroy them very slowly, but we make them suffer for refusing to be our slaves.
Don't even try and tell me those words were misinterpreted, because that is the Prime Minister of the Israeli government.
This is word for word, verbatim, from the Jerusalem.
Y'all heard that, right? And like that guy said, don't even try to tell him that it's misinterpreted, because those were his exact words. And Ishkan said there absolutely is a recording of it. I believe it, beloved. I absolutely believe it, because you know what else there's a recording of? Let's talk about it. There's a recording, and I know darn well I heard this about 20 years ago. But now all of a sudden it's been scrubbed from the internet and they lie and swear that President John F. Kennedy never said this. But I'm going to tell you what he said a week before he died. Before he died. That's the same video I sent you, Queen. Oh, thank you, beloved. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And thanks for being a member for 13 months. Here's the thing. Before President John F. Kennedy died, and they can try to debunk this all they want, because, yeah, it's easy for them to do when they destroy the receipts. I know what I heard, and there's other people that told me they've heard it too. President John F. Kennedy was on a recording saying that there is a certain group of people who want to enslave every man, every woman, and every child. Now, what did that just say on that paper he was reading? Because if they don't, or because they refuse to be our slaves. Now, I want you to think about that, because it's already being done right now. Listen, this is unfolding right before your very eyes. The people that are being put in the ICE concentration, not detention, they're concentration camps. We're back in 1945. Please pay attention. The same people that are putting these migrants in these concentration camps, okay, they're taking us back. These people are slaves. Y'all know that, right? Y'all know that people in ICE concentration camps are slaves, right? Y'all know that they have to work just like prisoners do, and they get paid like $1 or something like that. Y'all do know that, right? You do know that the people that own the private industrial prison complex are the same people that own the ICE concentration camps. Y'all do know that, right? Please tell me you do. Y'all see how this is all adding up and making sense? Don't forget the video that I showed you about a month ago where they literally were checking people, ICE that is, and then after they checked them, they made them put on a red bracelet. They made them put this red band on their hand. Who wears a red band on their hand? Doesn't say Yahoo. It has something to do with Kabbalah, but a lot of these wealthy people wear that red bracelet. I actually had a video about that months ago that I forgot to even ever show you all, because I thought that was interesting when I found it out. But here's the thing. They made them put on that red wristband to show that they'd already been checked and approved. That's the same thing they did in 1945. They made them wear the Star of David. Okay, the yellow Star of David. So I'm sorry, we're already there. But also, if you remember, I also told you, hold on, let me go to it, about the incinerators. And I also brought that up again this morning, but hold on. And here's the thing. Those people that were on Alligator Island that nobody can find, their own families and lawyers can't find them, those people are likely dead. Okay, those people are likely dead. Now, I don't want to be sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but if you recall, the people that are deemed as conspiracy theorists are usually absolutely 100% right. And anything I've ever said that was deemed as a conspiracy theorist has absolutely come true. Now, listen to what he says about the incinerators that we were just talking about again this morning, but I told you all about it initially about a month ago.
There will be a time, and it may not be too far in the future, when people look back and they wonder how in the United States this has been allowed to happen, that this is happening, that the United States military did this. Through the Navy, the Department of Homeland Security is purchasing a lot of incinerators for human remains, and they will be constructed at detention centers across this nation. I'm serious. This is happening. I'm including a link. Watch the link. There will be a time, and it may not be too far in the future.
Okay, I just want you all to pay attention. This is also disheartening. Now, here's a lady that did a video about the Antichrist system, says that it's unfolding right before our very eyes. Let's get into it. Like up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
Anybody else that we're not allowed to talk about what's really going on in our world. We're not allowed to talk about what's actually unfolding behind closed doors. We can't talk about Maui. We can't talk about North Carolina, and soon we won't be able to talk about LA. We're not supposed to know about the flood insurance that was canceled before North Carolina. And we're not supposed to know about the fire insurance that was canceled before LA. We can't talk about the color blue. And we definitely can't talk about the cities that are coming. We are not allowed to talk about what is really going on in our world. We can't talk about the shipping containers. We can't talk about why celebrities always look so young. We can't talk about what happens in the tunnels, and we definitely can't talk about what happens every single day beneath our feet. We can't talk about what is really going on in our world. Our world is not as it seems. Everybody that you see, that you look up to, our politicians, our celebrities, Hollywood, is not as it seems. Evil is running this world. And it is soon coming to a head, and Satan will step out onto center stage. The beast system is getting set up right in front of our eyes, and we are not allowed to talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's not forget when I told you all about them just putting everything out there, because now that we know about the Epstein files and nobody's doing anything about it, and Todd Blanche says it's over with, it's a dead deal. There's nobody to investigate, nothing to see here, folks. And we're not making enough of a noise about it. Nobody's out there in the streets protesting about it. So it almost is like we've accepted this. So you see, what they do is they have what I call test runs. Trial runs. They put things out in front of us to see our response. And if there is no, not a lot of backlash, nobody really says anything, then they just go right on ahead as planned. Okay? They already have erected Baphomet statues. Y'all do know that, right? Isn't there one in Detroit? They have Baphomet statues with the images of a boy and a girl on either side, as if they're worshiping Baphomet. This is in the United States. But they took the 10 Commandments, okay, out of the courthouses. They took prayer out of schools. Starseed Oracle says we're not angry enough. Exactly. That's what I was telling y'all that day that I cursed some of y'all out. Because I felt like y'all are not taking this serious enough. This is not a game. This is not a game. It's like some people have cognitive dissonance. They don't want to accept the truth for what it is. But, that's going to be to their own demise, sadly. That's going to be to their own demise, sadly. Now, with that all been said, let's talk about this MAGA protesting, or a MAGA speaking on the Iranian protesters. And this is how ignorant these people are. You see, and these are the people that absolutely will never get it, because they simply don't want to. They don't want to hear the truth. Whenever the truth doesn't fit their narrative, their way of thinking, they don't want to hear it. Okay, they will make up all types of asinine excuses, like that lady I showed you all on yesterday when she was talking trash about, and this lady's going to say the same thing, I think, when she said something about, when they asked her about Alex Preddy and Nicole Good, she said that he should never have brought a gun to a protest. But then when he told her, well, Kyle Rittenhouse had a gun at a protest, he had a whole AR-15. What do you have to say about that? And she's like, oh, well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that story. I don't know about Kyle Rittenhouse, but. So you condone it for one, but condemn it for the other, whatever fits the narrative. Okay, please pay attention.
That country could take care of their own war, and that we wouldn't have to go into hell or whatever.
Their own war?
Huh?
What war are you talking about?
Killing their people in the streets, killing their protesters for no reason.
We're doing that here.
No, we're not.
What are you talking about? ICE literally killed 2 of them. We did multiple episodes about this.
I don't want to talk about that.
You are talking about it. You brought it up.
We are not killing our own in the streets.
What happened to Alex Preddy and Renee Good?
We've talked about that.
They were killed literally in the streets.
Yeah, she should have got out of the car. She would be alive. He took a gun. Why was he taking a gun if he's a nurse and going to help people?
You're deflecting. You're deflecting to these
fucking talking
agitators. Points that don't matter. Fine. They're protesters, just like you said in Iran.
And you need to just follow instructions and you will live. They did not.
Okay. Well, why aren't the people in Iran following instructions? You're pissed about them.
They were. Their government doesn't give a crap and is going to kill them anyway.
What's the difference between Iran killing protesters in the streets and the U.S. doing it?
I don't feel that we killed people in the street on purpose. Iran did.
You think it was accidental that ICE agents drew guns and fired multiple times into people's faces?
They gave her directions to get out of the car.
But you're saying they didn't kill her on purpose. A man shot her 3 times.
I wish that that country could take care of their own war and that we wouldn't have to go into hell or whatever.
You know, these MAGA minions are so ridiculous. Okay, they are so nonsensical. It's just pathetic. All right, it's absolutely pathetic. But anyway, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Get the likes up. Thank you in advance. Now, I'm going to tell you all something. Hold on. Let me send this to my email. There is some, supposedly, I need to fact check this real quick, but it seems to be some very interesting things going on that remind me of the NWO. And y'all know what that is. The first word is new. Okay, please pay attention. Now let's go to this MAGA idiot who talks about Obama being in the Epstein files and says that's the reason why Trump didn't want to release them. Okay, I find this all so ignorant. How dumb could one be? Trump doesn't even like President Obama. So why would he want to not release the files to protect him? That is so asinine to even suggest.
So your opinion of why this is how stupid this guy is. Your opinion of why Donald Trump doesn't want the Epstein files released is because Bill Clinton and Barack Obama are in the Epstein files? That's your reasoning?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he doesn't want to hurt Barack Obama. Okay, so where's your evidence that Barack Obama was in the Epstein files? Was he seen with Jeffrey Epstein at parties? Was he on the Jeffrey Epstein plane 7 times like Donald Trump? Please give me one shred of evidence that Barack Obama even knew Jeffrey Epstein, let alone ever hung out with him. What's your evidence there, Eddie?
Where's your evidence that Trump was on the island?
Gotcha. So first of all,
notice how when any fool is losing a debate, they always start asking questions. That's what they do. Rather than responding, just answering what you ask them, they'll ask you a question just to throw you off. You all remember the debate between me and Marlon, the raccoon? Okay? That's exactly what he was doing. Please pay attention, but let's continue.
well, I said he's on the list, you moron. You want to know what my evidence is? Be quiet and listen. I'll educate you, you crap for brains. Be quiet. I'll answer your question because you don't know how to answer questions, but I will answer your question directly. How do I know? Well, first of all, Donald Trump has already openly admitted that there was sex trafficking going on at Mar-a-Lago, that Jeffrey Epstein took an underage girl from Mar-a-Lago. That's number one. Number two, they were best friends. Number three, we've seen Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Number four, we know for a fact that Donald Trump was on the Epstein flight log at least 7 times. We learned that in a court of law in the Maxwell case alone. We have Jeffrey Epstein on tape. You need to listen. I know you're talking. You need to listen because I know you don't want to listen to the truth. It was Jeffrey Epstein that didn't say Barack Obama was his best friend. He said Donald Trump was his best friend. We see Donald Trump's pictures with Jeffrey Epstein for years and years and years. The evidence is overwhelming. And by the way, for you to think that the reason why Donald Trump doesn't want the Epstein files out there is because he's trying to protect Barack Obama and Bill Clinton might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, because you're obviously not a very intelligent person, Eddie. You're an extremely dumb individual. You add nothing to the conversation, and you're a complete idiot, Eddie. So why don't you have a nice day and go listen to somebody else who supposedly doesn't have a show? You're the guy in the middle of the day who calls into... He's still yelling, by the way. Is he still talking? What an unhinged moron. He still got put him on.
You ready to answer my question, coward?
Are you ready to answer my question, coward? Are you ready to answer my question? I'll tell you what. Come on. I'll tell you what. When you call into this show and you actually ask me something that is on topic, then I will answer your question. You stupid moron. Have a nice day.
I love it. Okay? Such an idiot. These MAGA minions are all idiots. Every single one of them. And that's just the fact. They're all idiots. This is the way they think. They absolutely have no critical thinking skills. And most of them sadly, don't even have common sense. Isn't it all nefarious? Please pay attention.
Mafia says, this is the life we've chosen. And there it is. I used to scare the hell out of my parents when I would let something slip when I came home from a trip. I actually asked this of David Boyce, the famous defense attorney, Hillary Clinton's defense attorney, and one of the most famous defense attorneys that America has ever produced. And he said that he and his staff went through every one of the 3 million Epstein documents in the latest tranche. And he said that they found literally nothing to indicate that Trump was liable to pressure from the Israelis on this issue, that Trump ended his relationship with Epstein before things really got out of hand. And he said the exact same thing about Bill Clinton. He said, you don't have to like.
Okay, I want you all to pay attention. This is all crazy. Okay, so Melly C says, Queen, you know things are bad for Trump when white people are windmilling for Obama. Exactly. Okay, because the people that are being honest with themselves, who are not just holding on to hatred and spewing racist talking points and rhetoric, they are telling the truth. They are on the right side of history. Okay, and once again, thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved, and your insight into the topic. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, he was telling no lies. And that idiot that made the phone call, he didn't have a leg to stand on. Like, how do you even come to that? Listen, here's what I want you to pay attention to. When someone, okay, please pay attention. When someone gives you their opinion, and we know that opinions are not facts. Okay, but here's what we should know, that intelligent people base their opinions off of some sort of foundation, like off of some sort of, there has to be some level of clarity for them to arrive at a certain opinion. Like they're just not making it up out of their head, pulling it out of the thin air. That guy clearly was. What in the world would make him ever think that Obama was in, and Biden, or whoever he said, Bill Clinton, were in the Epstein files, and that's the reason Trump was hiding it? First of all, if he ever read the Epstein files, which I did for weeks and months, if he read the files, he would see, but you can tell people like that, they absolutely do no research. That's foreign to them. It's Greek to them. It's algebra to them. Okay, they're not going to read files. They're not going to research and study. That's what they don't do. They're allergic to knowledge. That's why they're idiots, and they will perish. But with that all being said, at the end of the day, they have nothing to back up what they're saying. They just make it up. People like him, they just make up talking points that they want. Because where did he get that from? If he read the Epstein files, he would know that absolutely Obama was in the Epstein files, but he was not accused of anything. The only time Obama, from the Epstein files that I went through, the only time he was mentioned is when someone was speaking on him, when someone was hating on him, someone was talking about him. There was never one person that accused him of anything. There was no pictures. There was no emails from Obama saying anything nefarious or any of that. So where did he get that from? From his own mind. Okay, clearly the voice is in his own head. Okay, please pay attention. And people like that will never be able to stand up to a person who exercises critical thinking skills, to a person who absolutely does research and who absolutely studies, because these people will always come to them with receipts. And they will never have any, because they won't look for receipts, because all they need to do in their foolish little fragile minds is just make up and paint their own narratives and send it out into the ether and hoping that people will believe it. Okay, only ones that will believe it are the ignorant people that are just as foolish, as obtuse as them. Now let's continue.
Because while the war with Iran has dominated every headline since late February, the Epstein story has kept moving. It's been much more quiet and off the front page, which is exactly where the people who it implicates would prefer it stay. But here's what's happened since the war began. On March 5th, the Department of Justice released an additional 16 pages of previously withheld documents. Yes, 16. The department said they were improperly held back because they'd been incorrectly coded as duplicative. Incorrectly coded. Those 16 pages contained summaries of 3 FBI interviews with a woman who alleges that Epstein brought her to meet Donald Trump sometime when she was between 13 and 15 years old, and that Trump essayed her. The documents were released only after multiple news outlets discovered they were missing from the initial mass release, and journalists caught the discrepancy because descriptions of all 4 interview summaries had been included in a list given to Ghislaine Maxwell's attorneys, but the summaries themselves were absent from the public database. So the documents existed, they were known to exist, they were given to Maxwell's defense team, and they were not released to the public until reporters forced the issue. That sort of feels like a choice. But after the release, reporter Julie K. Brown of the Miami Herald, who broke much of the original Epstein story, reported that DOJ officials who interviewed this woman found her credible and that they would not have interviewed her 4 times if they didn't. And yet, NPR's investigation found that at least 37 additional pages remain missing from the public database even after that release.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there because I already told you all this weeks ago. I told you all, beloveds, listen, some people are just finding out some of this information in the Epstein files. I told you all this stuff, the main juice of it, how they were hunting people, children. Okay, that's all in the Epstein files, how they were hunting Black people as well, calling them moon crickets, and said the moon crickets are in the bags because they killed them and put them in body bags, clearly. Okay, this is all nefarious. All of the allegations against Trump, I'm sure there's more in the files that they refuse to release. Don't forget about the snuff films, okay? And the fact that they were definitely eating the pineal glands, in my opinion, of these children. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next video because, like I said, I don't want to be here all night. The Queen has things to do, and I have to be up early in the morning for your next morning wake-up call.
All right, everybody, some new details released, raising some really serious questions about Jeffrey Epstein's controversial plea deal that he made in 2008. I'm Brian. Here's one thing to know on this Monday, the day after Easter. I hope that you were able to spend some time with family and friends yesterday. We still have construction going on, so bear with me. After pleading guilty to lesser charges in Florida, dozens of underage accusers, as you know, they were all ready to go to testify in a federal case against Jeffrey Epstein, a federal sex trafficking case. That never happened, as you know. Critics long called it a sweetheart deal, saying he really got off easy. Epstein serving less than 4 months in jail before he was granted that work release of up to 16 hours a day, 6 days a week for nearly 9 months. Here's what's new in documents that were just released from the Department of Justice, revealing that he had an SUV. Jeffrey Epstein had an SUV with a bed inside of it. And one woman told the FBI she had sexual encounters with Epstein inside that vehicle while he was in jail.
Now, that should be no surprise because you all remember that I told you all months ago that clearly when they were letting Epstein out of jail for 12 days a week, like he was supposedly going to work release, that was all cap. I told you all, I guarantee you he was still abusing people. He was still abusing people. Isn't that so pathetic and sad and disgusting at the same time?
Yeah. She also described minimal supervision during his incarceration and what she characterized as, pretty friendly relationship between Epstein and the local deputies. Attorneys for victims say that these details highlight just the level of leniency that Jeffrey Epstein received and why questions still remain to this day about how this case was handled and treated. I'm Brian, and that is one thing to know on this Monday. Follow me right now for.
Wow. Okay, absolutely no surprise there. Okay, absolutely no surprise there. And Epstein is absolutely still alive. They can miss us with it.
I just woke up. I have not had my coffee, so you'll have to forgive me, but I got something I need to say expeditiously. We are finding out today that the cover-up is in full fucking swing. Yes, the cover-up for the orange man in the Epstein thing is in full fucking swing today because Blondie Bondi is on her way to go talk to Miss Ghislaine Maxwell. She wants her to testify in front of Congress, to protect the pedos. Because let's look at the facts. the things that we know. Miss Maxwell has tried to file an appeal on the grounds that she too was a victim. Yeah, the lady who basically was the sheep herding dog who would go out and find the baby lambs and then walk them right into the pen of Mr. Epstein. But unfortunately, I remember testimony that said that she not only walked the little lambs into the slaughter, honey, she participated in said slaughter once she got them in the pen. She's not innocent by any means. Let's talk about the plea deal thing, because now she's claiming that she should have been protected underneath that 2006 plea deal that Mr. Epstein got. Well. I just woke up. I have not had my...
Ashkan said, what a fake accent. Ashkan, her accent is fake? That's hilarious. She cracks me up, though. That's Chrissy with a T. They keep taking her TikTok accounts and she has to keep remaking them. I guess she's speaking too much truth.
Breaking news, newly released emails show Jeffrey Epstein literally planning how to disappear if he got caught. He had disguises, fake passports, cash stashes, even diamonds, plastic surgery. Yeah, actually plans to vanish completely off the grid. Let's think about this. He had the means, he had the network, the fake passports, the money, the access. So what if he actually pulled it off? What if he's out there somewhere living a whole new life with a face you wouldn't recognize? And no one knows, because some of the richest, most powerful people in the world were willing to let him try. Makes you wonder, who else is still hiding in plain sight, pretending everything is normal? Elvis. I'm joking. Yeah, that's the world we're living in. If you want more break.
Okay, absolutely. And you all do remember, that I showed you all those fake passports that Jeffrey Epstein had. Well, I'm not going to say fake passports, but he clearly had more than one passport. Okay. Mally C just gifted the channel 5 memberships. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Now, you all be sure to shout out Mally C, okay, for purchasing these memberships, especially if you're someone who benefits from them. Okay, thank you so much, beloved. It's always so kind and considerate when people purchase memberships for others. Okay, with that all being said, let's go to this next clip. Okay, here we go. Epstein files include email from person claiming to be Ghislaine Maxwell's sister, and she references Trump.
In the Epstein files, sent by an individual who's claiming to be Ghislaine Maxwell's younger sister. In this email, they make some very serious claims about Donald Trump and his son Eric. Take a look. FBI agents or investigators seem to have forwarded this email to one another, but in the email, they are referencing images. It says, "Hello, my name is redacted. Ghislaine is my older sister. The man in the photographs from the Navajo Nation was the code keeper, and he got the vault accessible only by a general on the island of Akil Beach, India. He has the keys to all the rooms of Epstein's videotapes. I filed an SA lawsuit against him as a contractor for the FBI and a volunteer for the Global Canada Mounties, which is their national police force." Going on to say, as Trump was a government contractor over $25,000, I filed a complaint of SA on my behalf and the children they assaulted at Tramps, a music venue in New York that's been closed, in the back room where I was substanced and taped by them. My SA kit was Juliet Doe.
Y'all grab the popcorn because CNN just dragged Chris Murphy, a
Okay, I want you all to pay attention. Now, here is some new photos from the Epstein files that I didn't see. I didn't see these. I went through there, like I said, for weeks and months, but I didn't see this. So let's get into it. This is a picture of Epstein, Prince Andrew, and Mandelson.
Photo uncovered by ITV News shows something we've never seen before. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, Jeffrey Epstein, and Peter Mandelson together. Until now, we didn't know that the three had ever met as a group, let alone apparently so comfortable with each other. Mandelson and Mountbatten Windsor in bathrobes, American flag mugs on the table. We knew that both had separate parallel friendships with the convicted paedophile. Here, Andrew with Virginia Giuffre a year or two later. She claimed she was trafficked to the UK by Epstein and assaulted by Andrew, which he denies. Photos and emails within the Epstein files appear to show that former Business Secretary Mandelson maintained a friendship with Epstein until 2018. This very similar picture, perhaps taken on the same day, was included in a book put together for Epstein's 50th birthday. A note apparently written by Mandelson calls Epstein my best pal. We understand that this photo was taken around the year 2000, so before Epstein was arrested for child sex abuse. The photo was taken at a house in Martha's Vineyard, an upmarket holiday destination in the US. Until now, there was no evidence to show that the three potentially had a social relationship, something that could be significant.
I want to know what they were doing in there. It makes me very curious. Why aren't they wearing bathrobes? There needs to be more accountability. We need to go through all of their phone records and financial records and see exactly how they benefited from having this relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Because, the victims, we didn't benefit.
About a year later, Mandelson publicly argued for Andrew to be appointed trade envoy, a controversial candidate at the time. But in this 2001 article, Mandelson said, "The Duke of York will have a very important role for which he is well qualified." And the allegations get more serious. Andrew is under police investigation for allegedly sharing confidential trade envoy reports with Epstein. He's previously denied any wrongdoing. Considering their roles in British public life, Andrew and Mandelson knew each other. And in emails to Epstein, Mandelson mentioned the former prince. In one chain, he said he was at Centre Court, Wimbledon, but not in Royal Box like Andrew. But now we have what appears to be a missing piece in the puzzle, a photo which shows that not only did they have individual friendships, but that, at the very least on one occasion, Andrew, Mandelson and Epstein were together as a three.
Okay, so that was interesting. This is all just so egregious. Let's go to the next clip, beloveds. Nene says they will never be held accountable. Sadly, they likely won't. That's the sad thing of it.
Epstein news. The House Oversight Committee, which is investigating Epstein, is now requesting 7 interviews with wealthy, powerful people, including Bill Gates, as part of their investigation. The House Oversight Committee, which is currently run by Republicans, said today that Chairman James Comer is seeking testimony regarding Epstein from Doug Band, Bill Gates, Leon Black, Leslie Groff, Sarah Kellen, Kathleen Rumler, Ted Waite. They say our investigation continues to uncover the truth about the Epstein network. Now, this is great. They're voluntary interviews, meaning that they don't have to come in. They haven't been sent subpoenas. But I noticed some names are missing off of this list. Where's Donald Trump or the people around Donald Trump that knew Jeffrey Epstein and had a lot of contact with him? We now know that Howard Lutnick is volunteering to testify before the committee, and I don't think he's doing this out of the goodness of his heart. I think he was going to get subpoenaed, and so he just kind of jumped on the opportunity before they sent the subpoena to him. So hopefully these people agree to a voluntary interview. They come speak to the committee, and we can hear what they know about Epstein and his.
Didn't Lutnick already testify? Didn't he already have a hearing?
This amazing interview by CNN. Check this out. Don't forget to follow and share.
They were bunk beds. And I said to him, oh my God, are you expecting grandchildren? And he said, no, these are for the girls.
That's architect and interior designer Robert Couturier. He was hired by Jeffrey Epstein in 2010 to work on his island. He worked for a few months and then he quit. Couturier told the FBI that one of the reasons he decided to quit were those specific demands from Epstein.
Especially for the bunk rooms, they had to be for girls, and pink and these sorts of things.
So there's no mistaking this wasn't for women.
There's no mistaking. You don't put women on bunk beds, I'm sorry. There was another little room with computers, and I said, what is this room? And he said, this room is for the girls when they have fun. And they play with their computers. The whole house was very odd because we were on the beach and the house had heavy dark curtains everywhere. The windows were never really open. It felt terrible. the girls and the young women who went on the island were basic prisoners. You couldn't leave.
We dug through the files released by the Department of Justice and found the pictures and videos that show the signs of something being off on the island, even as rich and powerful guests visited. Those signs were impossible to ignore, says this designer. What do you think about the people who did go to the island and say they never saw anything?
Listen, I think you can decide that you're blind. You can decide that you only want to see what you want to see. But the idea that a person would go to that island and not see something weird is impossible to me. For me to have seen it, everybody else had to see it.
When you think back to how obvious it was to you, do you wonder about, no one saying anything back then?
I've been wondering for the last 15 years. If in 2010 I knew it and we all knew it and I was interrogated and nothing happened, and that we could have saved so many young women that wouldn't have had to go through what they went through.
They could have also saved plenty of young women had they prosecuted Epstein correctly instead of giving him a whole sweetheart deal, thanks to Alex Acosta, right? Or DaCosta, whatever his last name is, if he had not given him such a lenient sentence in 2008. So, and it's just so interesting that and now, I used to literally wonder, why is it that PDF files get these light sentences? Like, they're the worst of the worst. And then they get these light sentences, like probation. One guy that ended up killing a child later, and I told you all the story where he killed 6-year-old little Christopher Barrios. This PDF file and his adult son, they both R-worded the child and then murdered him. This man, the same man, the father, he had actually done this before and had only been given a 10-year probation period. That's it. So you know what he did? He's not going to stop being a PDF file. That's just what they are. If someone's a PDF file, how are they going to stop? It's just like someone who's heterosexual. You're not going to stop being that. That's who you are. So if this is their sexual preference to do these things to children, this is what they will continue to do. They're not going to stop. That's why they should get the death penalty, in my opinion. Now, with that, or at least life prison sentences. But with that all being said, the man and his son who killed Christopher Barrios likely killed him so they wouldn't get caught, because they were caught before, or he was caught before and got probation. And he knew what was going to happen if he got caught again. So that's what that is. This is all crazy. And it's just so sick that this country is so lax on it. But, like I said, I used to wonder why they got such lax sentences. And now I know it's because politicians, judges, even law enforcement, that includes the FBI and the CIA, are involved in these sorts of things. We've had former CIA agents come out and tell us. So, that's just what it is. It's really sad and disgusting, like I said. Let's continue. And also, I just looked up, Politico reported 2 days ago that Howard Lutnick, he has agreed to testify. And, they're right. He probably was going to be subpoenaed and knew it. So that's why he's volunteering, like he's trying to help us. But Howard Lutnick, you're in the emails. You're in the e-files. You were having a whole conversation with Epstein, and you went to his island, you, your wife, and your kids. Why the hell would anyone with sense take their children to Epstein's island?
Bondi is out as Attorney General. We need to talk about what's going to happen to the Epstein investigation and what's going to happen to her subpoena about her handling of the Epstein files. Is she still going to have to go in and answer questions under oath?
And see, that's the reason that Trump got rid of her, in my opinion, because he knew that she's supposed to be questioned about the Epstein files. She's supposed to testify April the 12th. Okay? And we're going to be tuned in.
Wow. The fact is, she has already been subpoenaed. That is a legal document. It's done. And she is scheduled to be deposed by the House Oversight Committee on April 14th. But technically, that's not the end of it. So let me back up here. Remember 2 weeks ago when I reported that Pam Bondi showed up on Capitol Hill and answered questions from the House Oversight Committee about the Epstein files, but it was done behind closed doors. It was not recorded, and she was not under oath. Remember, the Democrats on that committee were so pissed about that they walked out because they said the whole thing was a show and wasn't really about getting answers. Well, even after the Democrats left, the Republicans on that committee stayed. And they say Bondi answered several questions. And even the House Oversight Chairman Republican James Comer said he was absolutely satisfied with Bondi's answers. In fact, after that day, some of the Republicans on the committee who voted along with all the Democrats to subpoena Pam Bondi openly started to float the idea of dropping the subpoena and telling Bondi she didn't have to come in, she had done enough. But not all Republicans felt that way. Moments ago, Republican Representative from South Carolina, Nancy Mace, posted this to her social media page saying, Pam Bondi will soon leave her job as Attorney General. My subpoena still stands. When the Oversight Committee moved to subpoena Bondi, I did it by name, not by or not as the sitting Attorney General of the U.S. Release the Epstein files. So obviously Nancy Mace is not going to drop her support of the subpoena. And the Democrats on the House committee are not backing down either. They posted this to their social media page just a little while ago saying, Bondi will not escape accountability and remains legally obligated to appear before our committee under oath. But it's not entirely up to them. Chairman Comer, who was opposed to issuing the subpoena for Pam Bondi in the first place, is right now reportedly talking to other Republicans on the committee to figure out what to do next with that subpoena. It is possible that they could vote to drop it. Now, if the committee wants to be consistent, they have already subpoenaed and deposed other former attorney generals about the whole Epstein issue, including former Attorney General Bill Barr. So even if Bondi is a former AG, there is precedent for this deposition to move forward. So as of right now, Pam Bondi is still scheduled to be deposed on April 14th.
Okay, the 14th, not the 12th, my mistake. But at the end of the day, is she going to show up? Is she going to show up? Because, these people have an undying allegiance to Trump. But what I want you all to pay attention to is, why do you think these people are so loyal to Trump? I literally think it's because of Netanyahu. I think these people don't want to turn up dead. Like Princess Diana, like Charlie Kirk. Okay, like anyone who ticks off certain folk. Please pay attention.
Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's sidekick, the one who just spent 2 days in private conversations with Donald Trump's fixer attorney under the auspices of a visit by the Department of Justice. That Ghislaine Maxwell. The one who's telling the Supreme Court that she deserves to get out of jail based on the sweetheart deal that Jeffrey Epstein got from law enforcement in Florida. That Ghislaine Maxwell. The one who Donald Trump says he's allowed to give a pardon to. Ghislaine Maxwell is being talked up lately like she's the one who can tell us all about Jeffrey Epstein. She's not the one who can tell us all about Jeffrey Epstein. She is Jeffrey Epstein. She's the same kind of monster. So anyone who pardons her, I'm looking at you, Trump, or anyone who lets her out of jail based on a corrupt deal between the AG in Florida and Epstein, I'm looking at you, Supreme Court, are doing it for one reason: to continue the cover-up on behalf of thousands of monsters in the Epstein files. We don't need Ghislaine Maxwell to tell us what happened. We already know. We have tens of thousands of pages of investigation. Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's side.
Okay, no lies detected. He's absolutely right. Let's go to this next clip. Todd Blanche has called off the investigation, though.
Well, it's official. The acting attorney general of the United States said that the Epstein case is closed, and he will not be prosecuting any of the men in the files because it's not actually a crime to party with Epstein, where he abused women and children for decades. And he's actually going to break the law to protect those men, because he said he will not be releasing the 3 million files they are withholding in violation of the law that the Senate passed with unanimous consent. So while the victims are still out there saying that Trump has not been cleared of anything, and that there are men in those files that need to be held accountable, the Attorney General, the acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche, is saying, no, we're not going to prosecute any of those men because we don't think they did anything wrong. So the Epstein case will not get any better because Pam Bondi's gone. Because at the head of all of this is a president who's in the files more than anybody else, who doesn't want these men held accountable. Well, it's official. The acting
She sort of looked like Shelley Duvall. the actress who played Jack Nicholson's wife in The Shining. Okay, now let's go to this Epstein's Power Dinner video. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you. None of this surprises me. You know, this is absolutely what I expected to happen, sadly.
File found in the Epstein files tells you so much. So as you can see, this is a photo that Jeffrey Epstein sent to himself. Now, we don't know exactly the context of this photo, but there are some interesting characters present. Obviously, we can see right here, there's Elon Musk. And as you can see up top, this email was sent in 2015. You can also see right here, there is Mark Zuckerberg. But later on in the files, we are given a glimpse at what I believe is the list of those who attended this dinner. It included Desiree Dudley, Ed Boyden, Elon Musk, Jeffrey Epstein, Joy Ito, Mark Zuckerberg, Michelle Yee, Navaid Farouk, Peter Thiel, Priscilla Chan, and Reid Hoffman. So this is almost like the Avengers of super evil, super villain tech bro. You've got Peter Thiel, the guy who claims that the Antichrist is coming, and he loves to talk all the time about the Antichrist. You've got Reid Hoffman, who literally prays for society's downfall almost every day and believes we'd be better off under a king or some sort of a techno-monarchy. And then we've got individuals like Mark Zuckerberg and also Elon Musk, who is an extremely problematic individual who has tried in the last week or so to completely distance himself from Epstein. But it's looking now like Elon was a lot closer to Epstein than he claims he was. So it's interesting. Here are some of the most powerful this one file found in the Epstein files.
Okay, let's go to this new clip. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, I want you all to pay attention to Trump's shoes in this clip. Please look at Trump's shoes. Okay, before I start it. You all see that? You all see the shoes that Trump is wearing? Now, why am I showing you Trump's shoes? Well, because I just want you all to take note that those are the shoes that he gave to Marco Rubio. Those big ass shoes that Rubio had the nerve to wear like a whole fool. Okay, please make it all make sense. Okay, is he crazy or what? Look at that. Okay, but let's continue.
Check this out. This is stunning. We have a major update in the story surrounding Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and more. The House Oversight Committee Democrats have released new photos they've obtained from the Epstein estate that show Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, others in Trump's orbit, and other high-profile figures like Bill Clinton and more. These photos are pretty gross, and they shed light on the very close relationship that Donald Trump had with Jeffrey Epstein, despite what he claims in public. So I'm going to show you all of these photos and more. But before we do any of that, make sure to subscribe down below, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about this story. And of course, remember, the Epstein files still have not been released by Donald Trump. But let's just start here before we get into the article. Scott McFarlane, a reporter at CBS, is now reporting that House Oversight Committee Democrats say they've received approximately 95,000 photos from the Epstein estate. 95,000. I imagine they're still going through a lot of these photos because that's a whole lot. They've released 19 of those images, including 3 of Donald Trump. And that brings us to here. You can see one of the photos that they've released. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. But Democrats on the committee say they've released photos from Epstein's estate showing the many powerful figures in the late sex trafficker's orbit, including Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Steve Bannon, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, and others. Many of the men have been previously linked to Epstein, though the photos may shed new light on the extent of those relationships. And that is certainly an understatement. These photos show that all of these people were very close with Epstein. It wasn't just a cordial, casual relationship. It was much more, especially with Donald Trump. Taken collectively, the 19 images, which the committee said came from the Epstein's estate, reinforced that Epstein was tied in the past to a wide variety of powerful and high-profile people whose ties to him are now under significant scrutiny. One image released Friday shows what appears to be a bowl of novelty condoms with a caricature of Trump's face. The bowl has a sign saying a Trump condom, $4.50, and each one bears an image of Trump's face with the text, quote, "I'm huge."
But, Donald Trump claims that they weren't friends, Another showed Trump with 6 women whose faces were redacted by the committee. According to the committee, it's for privacy reasons. And we don't know exactly who they are, or perhaps if they were victims of Epstein. We don't know that. Others included Steve Bannon and Epstein taking a photograph in the mirror, Bill Clinton with Epstein, Maxwell and another couple, and tech billionaire Bill Gates with the former Prince Andrew. Former Harvard president Larry Summers and lawyer Alan Dershowitz also appeared in pictures from the estate. And here are 16 of the photos. Others are, put it mildly, very inappropriate. They include things that are used during intercourse. Put it mildly. I'm just going to put it mildly like that. They are very inappropriate. So
Absolutely nefarious. Okay, please pay attention. This is all so crazy. Now, here is someone else talking about Pam Bondi and her supposing to testify on the 14th of April.
For the Epstein files. I know everybody seems to have forgotten about the Epstein files with all the Iran war. Donald Trump was able to distract from that. But guess what? On April 14th, Pam Bondi is still expected to appear before the House Oversight Committee. As you may know, she was subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee to appear before them to explain her actions as Attorney General, to explain her actions and what they have done and what they have not done on the Epstein files, why they've not released remaining of the files, why they redacted all what they redacted, and they have not let her off the hot seat, so to speak. So again, I know right now Epstein is not on the top of everybody's mind, but April 14th is coming up. That's a week from Tuesday. So again, expect Pam Bondi to be back in the news and expect the Epstein files to be back in the news. That issue is far behind us just because the war is getting all the news right now, and clearly it's important. I know y'all love paying these oil prices too. Don't you love paying those prices at the pump? Just wait till inflation comes along.
Exactly. Now let's go to this clip of Kash Patel. Okay, because they say Kash Patel literally predicted his own shame, and he absolutely did. Now I want you all to listen to Kash Patel and what he is in fact saying about the Epstein files before he was assigned the job of being the FBI director. This is what he said previously.
I'm not saying it's not there. Who are you going to get to get
who
that?
For instance, who is currently holding, this is way off the topic, but who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is I mean, there's
that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school. We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local districts. That's how they play the game.
You know, it's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
Oh, I saw you
give out the list.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
I find it also interesting. Okay. I find it also interesting. Now, he was saying all of that, and now he's doing exactly what he was claiming that somebody else was doing. Okay? Absolutely nefarious. That's right, Reggie. The internet does live forever.
Consequences from the latest Epstein files have officially begun. Lithuania has become the first country following the latest release to officially open an investigation into potential human trafficking. Over in Poland, their Prime Minister, Donald Tusk, he has now set up a new task force investigation into new evidence which suggests Epstein may have been linked to Russia's KGB in order to collect compromising information on the elites of the Western world. He said,
"This can only mean that they also possess compromising material against many leaders still active today."
We wish you luck with that one, Donald Tusk. Over in the UK, one of the biggest political scandals in decades is unfolding after police launched a criminal investigation into Lord Mandelson. This is following documents suggesting that not only did he potentially give Epstein sensitive government information in 2009, but also he allegedly received $75,000 from him in 3 separate 25,000 transactions in 2003 and 2004. Lord Mandelson, who also served as US ambassador last year, has now been forced to resign from the Labour Party and the House of Lords. In Slovakia, their national security advisor to the country's prime minister has now also been forced to resign after the files showed that he had a text exchange with Epstein saying that he would take the MI girl, to which Jeffrey responded with, "You can have them both, I'm not possessive," and they're sisters.
Okay, I want you all to pay attention. Now, this young man says that the Iran war did not start because of the Epstein files. Okay, let's hear what he has to say. He talks about tokenism.
War did not fucking start because of the Epstein files. The Iran war started to rewrite our entire financial system and shift power from world governments to corporation states ran by CEOs and their companies. A world where every single asset and currency is tokenized and tracked. That way we can trade tokens. I can trade you my car for your house simply by trading tokens. A world built around tokens and agents. Yes, every asset and currency will be a token, but the entities that move these assets and tokens will be agents. They're the consumers, not us. Agents take action and think way better than we do. And not to mention, agents spend money faster than we do. You think these CEOs, these leaders are going to build this new world around us? Oh, you don't believe me, right? This is a conspiracy theory. Why did Trump have a private closed-door meeting with the CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, last week? No one knows what went on in that meeting. That's not all. Why did OpenClaw blow up this year? Manus came out last year. Manus is also an autonomous AI agent. Why did OpenClaw make such a big noise this year? Why did Meta just buy Moltbook? Why did NVIDIA just announce they're releasing their own OpenClaw? Because states need consumers to function, to spend money. And these agents are the new consumers. These CEOs are gearing up to turn their companies into corporation states. Think about it. Don't you find the whole timeline a little bit weird? Now, why won't the United States give up? No matter how high the price of oil goes, no matter how many people get unalived, whatever tragedy happens, no one is going to quit. One side is holding on to their religion and their faith, but they think that's stronger than the other side. Yes, America does not have that level of religion, but you are severely underestimating the white man's love for money. If that, I promise you. So how does Iran fit into all of this? Iran is the most heavily sanctioned country in the world by the US government. And they've been bypassing US sanctions by selling their oil through crypto underneath the US government's nose. Iran represents a leakage in the system, in this new surveillance state, in this new tokenized agent state that we're heading into. If a whole country, a whole government represents a leakage, then all of us in theory can just go over there and trade our assets outside of the system. The system has minimal value. You can cheat the system. Just a disclaimer, I think businessmen should be politicians, not just, and you can't just say, hey, I want to be a politician. You need to have some career achievements. The problem is these CEOs are too practical and logical. In a world where all value and revenue resides within these agents, these CEOs are going to take action to build around these agents, not us. We're going to be like in the way for them. The Iran war.
Okay, I want you all to pay attention. He makes a whole lot of sense as far as I'm concerned. But here's the thing, though. Hold on. Let me pull up this next clip really quick. Now, that actually makes a whole lot of sense as to what he was saying. Okay, please pay attention. Nirvana said the check bounced, okay? So that was really interesting. You know, that has a lot to do with the NWO, the New World, and you know the rest. Okay? You know the rest. And so Trump is, you know, I think that may have something to do with it. like he said, but it was definitely started because of the Epstein files, because Trump's being blackmailed, in my opinion, like I told you all. But I definitely think that Trump is here to usher in the NWO. Okay, I absolutely believe that, and I told you all that before, so it makes all the sense. But here's the thing that I want you all to pay attention to. This guy did this video, and he says this is what Mexico is doing to cell phones. Now I want you all to pay attention, because if this is true, you can best believe that this is coming to America next. But also, let me just say this too. I almost forgot. So as to what the young man was saying about the tokenism and these CEOs trying to have corporate states and all that, listen, this goes along with what I have told you all in the past. And probably the most recently that I mentioned, it was probably like a month ago. But if you all remember, I told you that all of these corporations, you know, like JP Morgan Chase and others, BlackRock clearly, they're trying to purchase up all of the private land. They're trying to buy people's homes. They're trying to buy farmland. They want us to have to come to them for everything. They don't want us to have our own things. They don't want private small businesses. They want us to have to come to them for food, for everything that we need. They want us to be solely dependent upon them. That's where this is headed. Okay, please pay attention. And so with that all being said, what does that make us? What would that make us if that were the case? That would literally make us slaves to the system, the beast system. Okay? So think about that. And think about the video I showed earlier in this broadcast about them making us into slaves, what BiBi Netanyahu said about people refusing to be their slaves, about what JFK said about them having an agenda, a certain group of people wanting to enslave every man, woman, and child. This all aligns. So I absolutely think that young man knows exactly what he's talking about. It all makes sense. Okay, now let's go to this. So we'd have to hear, I want you all to really listen to what they're saying that they're doing to the phones, the cell phones over in Mexico, because this is absolutely crazy.
Did you hear what Mexico is doing and what they're mandating for like 127 million people by June 30th of this year? Yeah, it's planned to happen in Mexico, and apparently it's going to be happening everywhere else as well. Yeah, so they're requiring every single mobile phone to register with biometric data, fingerprints, face scans, iris scans, you name it. And the crazy part is, if you don't do it, they cut you off from service. No more cell phone. If it has a SIM card, you have to register all that data. No, hell, did you hear what Mexico?
I want you all to think about that. If you have a SIM card, you have to register all your data. You have to give your fingerprints and all of that. Now, if that is true, I'm going to research that tonight. But if that is true, isn't that crazy and so nefarious? I'm going to tell you right now, if that be the case, I will not have a cell phone. I will not have a cell phone. You will not be all up in my private conversations in my business without a damn warrant. You better bring me a warrant. If you want that sort of information, you will not just to have it because you say so. That's what you won't do. But also, I want you all to pay attention, because remember what one of BiBi Netanyahu's people said the other day. I showed you all the video, how they said that Google is giving them information, basically, okay, so they can find out where people live, find out where you work, and all this stuff. And if you're saying anything that they deem as anti-Semitic or whatever, they can get you canceled. Look at what's going on with Kanye. Kanye had a concert and made like $13 million, I was told, and then was going to go to, he's doing a tour with Lauryn Hill, supposedly, and then was going to go over to the UK where they were having a concert, but they banned him. They literally banned him from coming over there. So if they can't get you one way, they're going to get you another. Okay, and Kanye did come out and apologize to these people for what he said that they deemed anti-Semitic. He came out and apologized, but still he's getting blackballed. Still he's getting banned. They're still messing with the man's money. Okay, so please pay attention. Now, with that being said, I want you to listen to this next video, because this too is scary. This too is scary. This happened to a teacher. So this is how you know that Google or somebody, some of these tech companies are absolutely giving our information to people. Okay, and AI is detecting things that is even in private correspondences, shall I say.
Telling y'all, you're gonna wind up getting your ass locked up for saying something that you're not supposed to be saying in these DMs on these social media apps. AI will tell on you. A teacher got pulled out of her classroom and arrested for a message that she sent on Snapchat. You heard what I just said? This teacher sent a message to her roommate, and AI felt the message was something that the FBI needed to hear. And guess what happened? Just what I said. The FBI came and locked her ass up. This teacher was teaching her class, doing a lesson. One of her students shut off her laptop while she was in the middle of the lesson, ruining her lesson plan. Of course, that probably made her mad. She texted her friend via Snapchat, and she said to her friend, "My student deleted my lesson plan for the day. Should I shoot him or not?" You can see how anybody would take that, right? Mind you, that was in privacy. That was in her messages on Snapchat. But AI read that. AI sent that directly to the FBI, and they came and handcuffed her and locked her up. Now, you could say she shouldn't have sent that message, and she shouldn't have sent that message. Of course, she should have known the seriousness of that. But her thinking that that's in the privacy of her chat, she sent it. She probably wouldn't even harm that student. But AI didn't think so, and she got arrested. But I'm betting you don't believe me, right? Look at this shit.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sean with the Sheriff's Office. Do you happen to have your phone on you?
I do, yeah.
Okay, do you want to hand that to me, please?
Yes.
Okay, the reason we're here is, have you been on Snapchat earlier today?
Yes, I was, yeah.
Okay, and so we got a call about a snap. So did you happen to make one today?
I did, yeah.
The kids make you mad today?
No.
Nothing about your computer or anything like that?
I had a lesson plan and one of the kids turned off my computer on my lesson plan. I was like, oh, dang, but I never get mad with the kids ever.
What did you snap after that? Did you set up?
No. What? I'm so confused.
So what I want to show you is the snap we received.
Oh, yes. But, okay, yes. This is a joke, though. But yes.
I'm going to leave you on that note.
Okay, y'all see that? Now, here's the thing. People should absolutely know. Nene said this is terrifying. Here's the thing. People should absolutely know that when you are sending messages through Facebook Messenger, which I deleted that from my phone years ago. I'm not even on Facebook at this point. I mean, I'm on Instagram, so my Instagram posts are automatically uploaded on Facebook because they're owned by Meta, both of them, and Zuckerberg. But I don't actively go on Facebook these days. Okay, but when I was on Facebook, I deleted Messenger from my phone because I know they scan your messages. They do the same thing with Instagram, with Twitter, all of these platforms. When you're messaging somebody and you think that it's just all between you and them, it's absolutely not. Okay, absolutely not. Babe Rex says, great reporting. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessing. Okay, so people can get into real big trouble. Now, let's go to this video where they talk about Rachel Maddow talks about all this money that Trump has grifted. Okay, and how it smells like corruption. And it smells like corruption because that's absolutely what it is. Okay, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
One of the things that has emerged about these warehouse purchases they're making for the Trump prison camps is that for some reason, the Trump administration appears to be eager to wildly overpay for these warehouses that they're buying, even before they start spending to convert them into prison camps. So like in Salt Lake City, they paid nearly 50% more than the property appeared to be worth. This warehouse facility was assessed at roughly $97 million. For some reason, the Trump administration decided they wanted to pay over $145 million for it. Why?
Now, why would Trump want to pay that much more than what it actually cost? Okay, why would he do that? Sounds like money laundering to me. Okay, sounds like he's putting that in the books that he paid that much, but putting the rest of that, the extra, in his bank account that's somewhere overseas. Now, this is all speculation and clearly my opinion. Malachi says, I stopped using social media 10 years ago. I never had Twitter or Instagram. Maybe my instincts were right. Absolutely. That is likely the case, beloved. And thank you for your contribution to the channel, your insight into the topic. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
Why is that? Roxbury, New Jersey. The warehouse they bought there was assessed at $62 million. The Trump administration came in and offered them $129 million. More than double what you'd expect to pay for it. One of the warehouses they bought in Georgia was valued just last year at $26 million. The Trump administration came in and bought it for $129 million. Assessed at $26 million, they came in and paid $129 million. What's going on there? What's going on there? Well, I will just point out two other things that are going on that might shed a little bit of light on this ultimately. Number one, Washington Post obtained an internal memo that apparently circulated last week, the day after Mark Wayne Mullen was sworn in as the new head of Homeland Security. That memo reportedly said that the process of turning these warehouses into Trump prison camps is going to be slowed down, that the proposals for these facilities are going to be revised, that they're going to start incorporating feedback from stakeholders, whatever that means, before they move ahead with these Trump prison camps. Why is that? Why are they slowing down? What's up with that? Well, turns out simultaneously, we have learned that there's a new Inspector General investigation into alleged corruption at the Department of Homeland Security, the soliciting and handling of contracts, quote, including the involvement of former Secretary Kristi Noem and her de facto Chief of Staff, Corey Lewandowski. After NBC News recently reported that Corey Lewandowski reportedly sought multi-million-dollar payments from companies that were contracting with Homeland Security, including specifically companies that operate immigration prisons, he was seeking multi-million-dollar payments for himself from those companies as he was acting as the de facto chief of staff at that agency, including an unusual degree of oversight of contracts. I mean, Mr. Lewandowski denies this, but Democratic members of Congress have now opened their own investigation into what may have been going on there. That stink is what you think it is. It smells like corruption, which, you know what, kings and dictators on their golden toilets are quite famous for.
Okay, please pay attention. It absolutely is corruption. Okay? It absolutely is corruption. And here's the thing. The sad gist of it all is these rich people, they don't care anything about the poor. That's why we live in a country that's supposed to be the American dream and all of that, and the wealthiest country and all of this. But we have all these homeless people. We have a whole homeless crisis. Okay? These people do not care about poor people. This is why in the Bible, it says it's something about a rich man entering the kingdom of heaven, that a camel will enter the eye of a needle before a rich man enters the kingdom of heaven. Because most billionaires are absolutely nefarious. I want you all to pay attention. They absolutely are drunk with power. And that's because they have access to it. Okay? They absolutely have access to it. Ashkan says Rachel Maddow will never say it's not real. No, she won't. I absolutely agree. Now let's go to this clip about Iran during Easter. Because, you know, like I say, people want to paint Iran as this terroristic regime and all these crazy things they want to say, you know, like they're just such religious fanatics. But if you ask me, cat's breath, okay? These Christian nationalists, they're not religious fanatics. No one seems to think so. You know, and here's the thing. Christian nationalists, I don't even really think that they're Christians. They may feel like they're Christians, but I don't think so. I think that their religion is wanton supremacy. And I'm not going to say white supremacy because they're not superior, nor are they supreme, but they want to be. Okay, so with that all being said, I think that's the religion, the need, the desire, the urge to want to be superior and supreme to all else upon the land. Okay, that don't look like them. Okay, Good and Brown says, yes, Queen, and they're pushing that social credit score. BiBi and them gonna have the AI digital capital of the world right over there at Gaza. Thanks for being you. Okay, it's me, Brown John. Well, thank you, beloved. Okay, you changed your name. Okay, so thank you so much. I absolutely agree. Thank you for the insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Listen, you all know I told you 3 years ago at least that the social credit reporting system that they have in China right now was coming here. I told you all this. So just get ready for it. I've told you all, and they're going to be using this to keep you from traveling, whether it's domestic or internationally. Okay, they're going to use this to keep your kids from getting into certain universities. Okay, because if they deem that you have said something or done something that they don't like and you've gone against any of their agendas, that's all going to be negatively impacted on your social credit reporting score. And then that will prohibit you. They'll punish you. And let's not forget, we're going to a digital system. So in a digital money system where there's not cash in hand, they can simply press a button and just delete you out of it. Okay, that's what they can do. But let's go to this video here.
News coming out of Iran. Yesterday, Christians were on full display as they celebrated Easter Sunday, right? And what's interesting is Christians, they celebrate Easter Sunday with no issue, with no problem. But not in a certain other place, guys. Not in a certain other place. Which country do you guys think that Christians are not able to celebrate Easter openly, publicly? Because in Iran, it's on full display. Nobody.
Now, the reason I wanted to show this guy's video is because this just goes to show how hypocritical the United States and Netanyahu are. Okay, because they want to accuse Iran of being an oppressive regime, saying that they treat their people badly, when we all know the United States treats their people badly, specifically Black people, okay, for decades, for years. Okay, we know this. So who are they to say anything? But who is Netanyahu as well? He doesn't even believe, that Jesus has more power than Genghis Khan. Okay, he doesn't even believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, nor that he's even a prophet. That's what Shapiro said, the one at the Daily Wire that couldn't get along with Candace Owens. That's what he said. No, we don't even believe he's a prophet. That's what he said. Okay, please pay attention.
Follows them. There's even a metro train station in Iran dedicated to the Holy Mother of Mary, where you see the verses about Mary written on the walls, right? The verses from the Holy Quran. And for those of y'all that don't know, or that are not familiar with not only Iran, but that are not familiar with the religion of Islam, in our Holy Quran, there is an entire chapter dedicated to Mary, the mother of Jesus, peace be upon her, and her noble blessed son, right? But yeah, Christians yesterday, even though they were being attacked, even though they are going through hardships from the United States and Israel, they celebrated and they turned up in great.
Okay, and here's the thing. Some of these MAGA minions, they're always, shouting death to Allah and trying to go against the Muslim community and all of that. They're so stupid and so just insidiously obtuse, they don't even realize that Allah simply means God. Allah simply means God. Okay? Like Elohim. Elohim in Hebrew, it means God or gods. Eloi. Okay? It means my God. Remember when Jesus was on the cross being crucified, he said, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which means, that's Hebrew for, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Okay, I want you all to pay attention. Now, with that all being said, here's the thing. Some of these are similar. They sound similar, just like Allahu Akbar. That simply means God is great, or God is the greatest. And so these people are so stupid and obtuse, they don't realize that these languages are very similar. They're like cousin languages, okay? Arabic, Aramaic, and Hebrew, which Jesus spoke both Aramaic and Hebrew. But these languages, all three, Arabic, Aramaic, and Hebrew, belong to the same Semitic branch of Afro-Asiatic language families. Of the Afro-Asiatic language family, okay? They're all very closely related. So these people don't even know what they're talking about. They're just so obtuse. You just can't reason with them. You can't talk to them because that's how crazy they are. Now, with that all being said, I want to share something with you that one of my subscribers sent to me. And first off, let me ask you all this. Do you all remember me telling you that I feel like Trump wanted to destroy Cuba so he could send Rubio over there to lead them? because those are his people. Did I tell you? I remember me telling you that. But I said Rubio, I feel like the reason he's turned his back on his people, or he's going against his people, because he's such a bootlicker to Trump. But I think that Trump has maybe promised him or told him that he's going to let him run Cuba once it falls. So you all do remember that. So I want you all to pay attention, because here's what one of my subscribers said. He said, if he doesn't die from health issues, talking about Trump, he will step down or be impeached so that JD can pardon him. There will be a warrant for war crimes, so he wanted Greenland, Gaza, and now Cuba to run to. Those billions stolen from the Board of Speech went offshore, hidden in Swiss banks, Bohemian banks, Oman banks, Saudi Arabian banks, hidden into false companies, Kushner and Kushner's account, and all of that, destroying and making this country broke and a third world. We will never be the same. All his buildings and investments will be targeted by Iran. That will be the ongoing war. Now I want you all to pay attention, because that all sounds very plausible to me. That all sounds very plausible to me. You see, in the grand scheme of things, Trump knows that he's likely headed to prison. That's why now he's talking about going to Venezuela and learning Spanish real quick so he can become the president over there, so he can run for president of Venezuela. He's planning on getting the hell out of here. That's why he's been talking about building resorts over in Gaza. That's why. Doesn't it all make sense? Now, I just want you all to pay attention to how my subscribers have such critical thinking skills. Okay? Just the way I like them. Just the way I like y'all. Okay? So with that all being said, another thing keep in mind is that I also told you all, when I mentioned something similar, I also told you all that if Trump does send Rubio over there, or he himself goes over there, I told you they would likely be over there building resorts, trying to just take over everything. But remember I told you that Fidel Castro kicked out Netanyahu's people from Cuba? And I do believe that's why America doesn't like Cuba till this day. I believe that's why America hates Cuba. But they kicked out Netanyahu's people. Now, many of the buildings over in Cuba still have these people's names on them. Names like Weinstein, Epstein, Goldstein, those type of names. So I said I would not be surprised, if you all remember, I told you I would not be surprised if Trump takes over Cuba, puts Rubio in charge, goes over there building up resorts and all kinds of stuff, right? Probably casinos and everything. But with that being said, I just think that this is the whole plan. But also, what if Netanyahu and them, is not real? What if they go over there with titles and deeds? Because you remember, I told you that when Fidel Castro kicked them out of there, he seized their property. All of their property was seized because he was accusing them of crimes, of nefariousness. And so those properties are still there, no longer owned by them. But if Rubio takes over, or Trump takes over and goes over there or whatever, well, here they come with titles and deeds to reclaim the property that was seized from them. Okay? So I just want y'all to pay attention. This is all so nefarious. Now I'm about to conclude this broadcast. Listen, before I do, though, I want you all to see this. I thought this was interesting. I thought this was interesting. Where is it? Hold on, beloveds. Here it is. Mr. Tendernism. Now, you all remember just the other day, I showed you all how, in fact, the guy that owns Destination Smokehouse, who tried to, steal Mr. Tendernism's catchphrase, tried to trademark it, and who wasn't paying him what he should have been paying him, for coming up with the idea and for getting his business off the ground and helping him to make millions of dollars since, I believe, 2020. And then he fired him and then lied about it. But I want you all to see how when one door closes, another one opens. Because here's Mr. Tendernism. You all remember I told you that a Houston rapper was supposed to have purchased him a restaurant so that he can come there and cook and have his own thing going. So let's take a look at this. And let's not forget that he already catered to Ron Isley, superstar Ron Isley, for his wife's birthday. And this is a video posted 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry, it says, I can't see what date it is. It was a couple of weeks ago.
Hey, this is better than a Christmas present.
Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! God damn it! God damn it!
Oh, God damn it!
God damn it!
Oh, God damn it!
There you go!
Oh, God
There you go!
Oh,
God damn it!
Oh, you see how happy he is?
Don't do it to him, huh?
Again, bro.
Hit it through the glasses in there, God damn it! That's what the fuck I'm talking about, huh?
Now you see how happy he is where he's at, and he's being treated with the respect that he is entitled to. Okay? And he's being given credit for his creation and allowed to just be himself freely. Unlike when he was at Destination Smokehouse. And as you can see from the video I showed you all days ago, how Destination Smokehouse is really just underwater. And it's so crazy. I want you to pay attention to what greed can do. I want you to pay attention to what greed can do. And Marie, thank you, beloved, for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Marie says, they not even hiding it right in your face. It's like they're saying, so what? And what you going to do about it? Well, exactly. And what are we doing about it besides complaining as it pertains to the Epstein files and whatnot? Okay, thank you for your insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. So with that all being said, this is a prime example of how greed, okay, can just really, and pride, you know, pride goeth before the fall, right? So the guy that owns Destination Smokehouse was too prideful because he realized that Mr. Tendernism was not only getting all of the attention and going viral all over the internet, but the only reason people were coming to his restaurant is because of Mr. Tendernism. That's who put him on the map. He initially had a coffee shop that was underwater. Okay, it was in debt. He was in debt. His father left him that business, but now he made millions thanks to Mr. Tendernism. But guess what? Now he's back underwater. His business is definitely not doing good. It's looking bad for him. People who look like me are no longer supporting him because if we know the way that he did Mr. Tendernism. So I just want you all to let that be a lesson to you. Okay, don't ever be greedy and always respect and appreciate those who help you to get ahead in life. Because if you don't, trust me, someone else will. Okay, so with that all being said, I'm going to conclude the broadcast. Listen, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. We will be back tomorrow morning with your morning wake-up call and the updates on the war, the ceasefire that's falling apart and all of that. Tomorrow, we will talk about some more mysteries, okay? Possibly some more unsolved mysteries. So with that being said, beloveds, listen, I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And until next time, peace.
Hit him with that flavor. Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got